Here's what nobody tells you about confidence in trading. You think you need to hit a big win to feel confident. You think you need to turn $100 into $500 to prove something. You think confidence comes from being right, but that's not confidence, that's validation, and validation is unstable. It rises and falls with outcomes you can't control. So the moment the market doesn't give you what you want, your confidence collapses and you're back at square one, questioning everything, hesitating on the next setup, or swinging wildly trying to force a result. Real confidence in trading is not built on winning big trades. Real confidence is built on keeping promises to yourself under pressure. It's built on doing the thing you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's boring, even when you're down, even when you're up, even when nobody's watching. Because confidence is not a feeling you wait for. Confidence is evidence you create. Let me show you how traders with $100 accounts build unshakable confidence without ever needing to hit a home run. And I'll show you why the ones chasing big wins stay fragile, unstable, and constantly starting over. The big psychological problem starts here. Most traders plug their self-worth into market outcomes. They take a trade, they win, they feel smart. They take another trade, they lose, they feel stupid. Their identity rises and falls with the P and L, and that creates a cycle of emotional addiction. They're not trading for edge, they're trading for emotional regulation. They need a green day to feel okay about themselves. They need a red day to feel broken. So they start chasing the feeling, not the process. And the market is brutal to people who need it to do something for them emotionally, because need creates desperation, and desperation creates bad decisions. Now imagine two traders. Both have $100 accounts. Trader A wants to prove something. Trader A wants to turn that $100 into something meaningful, something that looks like progress, something that feels like validation. So Trader A takes aggressive risk. Trader A takes mediocre setups. Trader A oversizes because I need to make this count. Trader A is constantly monitoring P and L, constantly feeling either elated or crushed. Trader A's confidence swings with every tick. One good trade and Trader A feels like a genius, starts talking about strategy, starts planning the next move like success is guaranteed. One bad trade and Trader A spirals, questions the entire approach, feels like an imposter, considers quitting or switching strategies. That's outcome-dependent confidence. It's fragile. Now Trader B. Trader B also has $100, but Trader B is not trying to prove anything to the market. Trader B is trying to prove something to themselves. Trader B has a rule: only take A+ setups. Risk is fixed. Stop loss is non-negotiable. There's a daily max loss. There's a routine. Trader B takes a trade according to plan. It wins. Trader B feels calm, writes it in the journal, moves on. Trader B takes another trade according to plan. It loses. Trader B feels calm, writes it in the journal, moves on, because Trader B is not measuring confidence by whether the trade worked. Trader B is measuring confidence by whether the behavior was correct, and that is the entire difference. That is process-dependent confidence, and it's stable. Because it doesn't rely on the market cooperating. It relies on you showing up and doing what you said you would do. Let me explain why this works at a psychological level. There's a concept in psychology called self-efficacy. It's your belief in your ability to execute tasks and reach goals. Self-efficacy is not built by hoping. It's not built by visualizing. It's not built by affirmations, it's built by evidence. Every time you do what you said you'd do, you deposit evidence into self-trust. Every time you break your own rules, you withdraw from self-trust. And when self-trust is low, you become emotionally reactive. You second-guess, you hesitate, you overtrade, you revenge trade. You spiral. When self-trust is high, you stay calm, you execute, you don't need the next trade to work, you just need to show up correctly. That's why traders with $100 accounts can build more confidence than traders with $10,000 accounts if they understand this principle. Because confidence is not about the size of the account. It's about the integrity of your behavior. Now, let's bring in an example from trading history. Richard Dennis and the Turtle Traders. The lesson isn't about breakouts or trend following. The lesson is about rules protecting identity. Dennis believed traders could be taught, that discipline could be engineered, that a system could remove the need to be naturally talented. Why does that matter for confidence? Because the turtles weren't taught to trust their gut, they were taught to trust the process. They had entry rules, exit rules, position sizing formulas. Risk limits, and when they followed those rules, they didn't need to feel confident about the next trade. They just needed to execute the system. That's liberating. Because it removes the emotional burden of needing to be right. Your job is not to predict. Your job is to execute, and execution is something you can control. Now contrast that with the gambler mindset. The gambler takes a trade because it feels right. The gambler sizes up when confident, sizes down when scared. The gambler moves stops because I don't want to get stopped out. The gambler holds losers because it might come back. And then the gambler wonders why confidence is inconsistent. Because there's no process, there's only emotion pretending to be analysis. And emotion doesn't build confidence, it burns it. Now let's talk about small accounts specifically, because this is where the trap is most vicious. When your account is $100, every dollar feels significant. A $5 loss feels like failure. A $10 win feels like progress. So your brain starts attaching meaning to every outcome. And meaning creates pressure, and pressure destroys execution. This is why so many small account traders are exhausted. They're not just trading the market, they're trading their identity every single day. So here's the shift. Stop using your account to prove you're good. Start using your account to prove you're disciplined. Because if you can be disciplined with $100, you can be disciplined with $100,000. But if you can't be disciplined with $100, more money just amplifies chaos. Now I want to introduce you to a concept from poker, because poker players understand confidence differently than most traders. A professional poker player can make the correct decision and still lose the hand. They don't spiral, they don't call it unfair, they don't tilt, because they understand variance. Variance is the gap between short-term results and long-term expectation. In the short term, anything can happen. Good decisions can lose, bad decisions can win, but over time, decision quality wins. So the poker pro doesn't measure confidence by whether they won the hand. They measure confidence by whether they played the hand correctly. That's the same framework you need in trading. You are not trying to win the next trade. You are trying to execute the next trade correctly. And if you can do that consistently, confidence builds naturally. Because you're giving yourself evidence that you can be trusted under pressure. Now let me show you the practical mechanics of building confidence with a tiny account. First, you shrink your risk so small that outcomes don't hit your nervous system like a punch. If you have $100 and you risk $10 per trade, one bad trade feels catastrophic. Your body responds with cortisol, your breathing changes, your vision narrows. You start making decisions from survival mode, but if you risk $1 or $2, the outcome is feedback, not trauma. You can think, you can learn, you can iterate, and iteration builds confidence faster than swinging for the fences ever will. Because every time you take a trade with proper risk, follow your stop, and manage it according to plan, you prove to yourself, I can do this. Win or lose, you did what you said you'd do. That's a deposit into confidence. Second, you create non-negotiable rules, not suggestions. Rules about what qualifies as a trade, rules about when you stop for the day. Rules about maximum loss, rules about when you don't trade, and then you obey them like a pilot obeys a checklist, because pilots don't improvise at 30,000 feet, they follow protocol. Even when they're experienced, especially when they're experienced. Why? Because protocols protect humans from their worst instincts under stress. Trading needs the same humility. You need rules that protect you from yourself, and every time you follow those rules, you build confidence, because you're proving you can be disciplined when it's hard. Third, you stop measuring success by profit. You start measuring success by behavior. Did I take only my A+ setups today? Did I follow my risk rules? Did I stop when I hit my max loss? Did I avoid revenge trading? Did I journal honestly? Those are the metrics that matter at your stage, because those are the behaviors that scale. Profit is a lagging indicator. It comes later after behavior becomes consistent, but most traders do it backwards. They chase profit, ignore behavior, and then wonder why they can't build momentum. Now let's talk about the emotional poisons that destroy confidence. Fear. Fear shows up as hesitation. You see your setup, you know it's valid. But you don't pull the trigger because you're afraid of being wrong, so you wait, and the move happens without you. Now you feel even worse, not because you lost money. Because you didn't trust yourself. That withdrawal from confidence is expensive. So how do you fix it? You make the risk small enough that fear doesn't dominate. And you practice taking the setup even when you're scared, because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. Every time you take a valid setup despite fear, you prove to yourself, I can act under uncertainty. That's confidence. Greed. Greed shows up as refusing to take profit according to plan. You have a target, price hits it, but you hold because you want more, price pulls back. Now your winner is a break-even or a loser, and you feel like an idiot, not because the market tricked you. Because you broke your own rule, that's a withdrawal from confidence. So how do you fix it? You take profit when the plan says take profit, even when it feels like you're leaving money on the table. Because following your plan builds confidence. Breaking your plan, even when it accidentally works, erodes confidence. Because deep down you know you got lucky, and luck doesn't scale. Impatience. Impatience is the silent killer of small accounts. You sit down to trade, nothing sets up, so you start scanning, switching timeframes, looking for something, anything. And eventually you take a mediocre trade just to feel like you're participating. That's not trading, that's anxiety management. And every time you do it, you prove to yourself, I can't handle boredom. That's a withdrawal from confidence. So how do you fix it? You practice sitting flat. You practice logging into your platform, checking your levels, seeing no A+ setup, and closing the platform. And you feel proud. Because you just proved you can resist impulse. That's a deposit into confidence. Revenge trading, this is what happens when a loss becomes personal. You take a loss. It stings, not just financially, emotionally, so you immediately look for another trade to get it back. Not because the setup is there, because your ego is bleeding. And that trade almost always loses. Because you're not executing, you're reacting. That's a withdrawal from confidence. So how do you fix it? You have a rule. After a loss, you take a break, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Whatever it takes to reset, and you don't trade again until you can honestly say, I'm taking this because it's valid, not because I'm hurt. That's maturity, and maturity builds confidence. Now let's talk about the athlete comparison, because athletes understand something most traders don't. Athletes don't build confidence by winning the championship. They build confidence through repetition. A basketball player practices free throws thousands of times, not because free throws are exciting. Because when the game is on the line and the pressure is crushing, they need to trust their body to execute without thinking. That's muscle memory. And muscle memory is built through boring, repetitive practice. Trading is the same. You don't build confidence by hitting one big trade. You build confidence by executing your process correctly over and over and over until it becomes automatic, until you can take a loss and not spiral, until you can take a win and not get cocky, until you can sit flat and not feel useless, until you can follow your stop even when it hurts. That's when confidence becomes unshakable, because it's not based on outcomes, it's based on identity. Now let's address the market as a mirror, because this is critical. The market doesn't care how hard you studied. It doesn't care how badly you need the money. It doesn't care if you're a good person. The market is a mirror. It reflects your psychology back at you. If you're impatient, you'll see yourself entering early. If you're fearful, you'll see yourself exiting too soon. If you're greedy, you'll see yourself holding too long. If you're ego-driven, you'll see yourself refusing to take stops. And every time that happens, you have a choice. You can blame the market, or you can look in the mirror. Blaming the market keeps you stuck. Looking in the mirror builds confidence. Because when you own your behavior, you can change it. And when you change behavior, outcomes change. That's control. Not control over the market, control over yourself. And that's the only control that matters. Now here's the thing most people misunderstand about confidence. They think confidence is a prerequisite for action. They think, I'll trade confidently once I feel confident, but that's backwards. Confidence is the result of action, not the cause. You don't wait to feel confident. You act and confidence follows. This is how it works. You take a trade according to plan. It loses, you feel uncomfortable. But you don't spiral, you journal it, you review it, you move on. You just proved I can handle a loss without breaking. That's evidence. Next trade, you follow your plan again. It wins. You take profit at your target even though you wanted to hold. You feel a little disappointed, but you did what you said you'd do. You just proved I can follow rules even when I don't want to. That's evidence. After 10 trades, you have 10 pieces of evidence. And now when you sit down to trade, you're not hoping you'll be disciplined. You know you can be because you have proof. That's confidence. It's built one boring, small, disciplined action at a time. Now let's talk about what happens when traders skip this process and chase the big win instead. They take a trade, it works. They make $50 on their $100 account. They feel amazing. They feel validated, they feel like they've figured it out. So what do? They size up, they trade more, they get looser with entries, and then they give it all back. And now they feel worse than before they won, because they didn't just lose money, they lost the story they were telling themselves, and that creates a spiral. So they chase harder. They revenge trade, they break rules, they justify it with narratives, and the account dies, not because they lacked intelligence, because they built confidence on the wrong foundation. They built it on outcome, and outcomes are unstable. So when the outcome changed, confidence collapsed. Compare that to the trader who builds confidence on process. That trader takes 10 trades. Wins 5, loses 5, breaks even or makes a tiny amount, but every single one was executed correctly. Risk was managed, stops were honored, no revenge trades, no impulsive entries. That trader is walking away with something far more valuable than $50. They're walking away with self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of everything. Because when you trust yourself, you don't need the market to behave a certain way. You don't need the next trade to work. You don't need external validation. You just show up, execute, and let the process unfold. That's freedom. Now I want to talk about Jesse Livermore for a second, because there's a lesson here about patience and confidence. Livermore famously said it was never his thinking that made him money. It was his sitting tight. Mining, once he had a position that was working, he didn't fidget. He didn't take profit early because he was nervous. He let the market do its work, but here's the part people miss. He could only sit tight because he had confidence in his plan. If you don't have confidence in your process, you can't sit through normal pullbacks. You'll exit at the first sign of discomfort. And then you'll watch the trade work without you, and you'll feel even worse. So confidence isn't just about taking trades, it's about managing trades. And you can't manage trades well if you don't trust that you're following a sound process. That's why the process has to come first, and the process is built through repetition. Now let's talk about the turtle traders again, because their story is fundamentally about confidence through structure. Dennis didn't just teach them strategy. He taught them to trust a system more than their emotions, and that's liberating, because emotions lie. Fear says exit now, greed says hold forever, ego says you don't need to stop. But the system says this is the rule, follow it. And when you follow it, you don't have to feel confident in the moment, you just have to trust the structure. And every time you trust the structure and execute correctly, confidence grows. Because you're proving, I don't need to feel perfect to perform well, I just need to follow the plan. That's professional thinking. Now let's talk about the mental traps that destroy confidence in small account traders. The I'm behind trap. You see other traders posting wins. You see accounts growing, you see people talking about profits, and you feel behind, so you start pressing. You start forcing trades. You start taking risks you shouldn't take, and you spiral. Because you're not trading your plan, you're trading your insecurity. Here's the truth, you're not behind, you're exactly where you are, and where you are is the only place you can build from. Comparing yourself to others is poison, because you don't know their full story, you don't know their losses, you don't know their psychology, you don't know their risk. You only see the highlight reel, and if you let that highlight reel dictate your behavior, you'll never build real confidence, because real confidence is internal. It's not about being better than someone else, it's about being better than you were yesterday. The I need a big win trap, this is the most dangerous one. You think if I just hit one big trade, everything will change. I'll feel confident, I'll have momentum, I'll have proof, but that's not how it works. A big win without process is just luck. And luck doesn't build confidence, it builds arrogance. And arrogance leads to bigger risks, sloppier execution, and eventually, a bigger loss. So the big win you're chasing is actually the thing that will destroy you if you get it before you're ready, because you'll misinterpret it. You'll think you're good when you just got lucky. And the market will correct that belief violently. So stop chasing the big win, start chasing the boring win. The boring win is this: I followed my process today, regardless of outcome. That's the win that compounds, the I'll be disciplined once I'm profitable trap. This is the lie traders tell themselves to justify breaking rules now. They say, once I build the account up, then I'll be disciplined, but discipline doesn't work that way. Discipline is not a reward for success. Discipline is the requirement for success. If you can't be disciplined with $100, you won't be disciplined with $10,000. you'll just lose faster, because discipline is a skill, and skills are built through practice, so practice now. Practice when it doesn't matter, so that when it does matter, it's automatic. Now let's talk about the identity shift, because this is where everything changes. Stop identifying as someone who's trying to make money trading. Start identifying as someone who executes a process. That's the shift, because trying to make money makes you needy. And needy traders make desperate decisions, but executing a process makes you calm, because you're not asking the market for anything, you're just showing up and doing your job. And when you do your job consistently, money becomes a byproduct, not the goal, a byproduct, and that's when trading becomes sustainable. Now here's the practical framework for building confidence with a $100 account. Week 1, prove you can follow your plan, take small trades, risk tiny, follow every rule. Even if you don't make money, you're building evidence. Week 2, prove you can handle losses, take valid setups, some will lose, that's normal. Your job is to not spiral, journal them, review them. Stay calm. Week 3, prove you can handle wins, take profit according to plan, don't hold because you're greedy, don't exit early because you're scared, follow the plan. Week 4, prove you can stay consistent, do the same thing every day, same routine, same rules, same process. By the end of the month, you might not have much profit, but you'll have something far more valuable, a track record of integrity. And integrity builds confidence faster than anything else, because integrity is proof that you can trust yourself. Now let's bring in poker one more time, because poker players have a concept called bankroll management that's critical here. A poker pro doesn't play at stakes where losing would hurt. They play at stakes where they can absorb variance without emotional damage, because emotional damage leads to tilt, and tilt destroys decision quality. Same in trading. If your risk per trade is so big that a loss makes you emotional, your risk is too big, because once you're emotional, you're not trading, you're gambling. So shrink your risk until losses feel like feedback, not failure. That's how you protect confidence. Now, let's talk about what happens when you actually build this kind of confidence. You start to notice you're calm, you take a loss and you don't spiral. You sit flat for 3 days and you don't feel useless. You see other traders chasing and you don't feel FOMO. You follow your stop and you don't feel like a failure. You take profit at your target and you don't feel regret. That's confidence. Not loud, not flashy, just steady, and steady wins. Because steady compounds. Now, I want to address something uncomfortable. If you're watching this and you've been trading for months or years and you still don't feel confident, here's why. You've been building confidence on outcomes instead of behavior. So every time the outcome changes, your confidence resets, and you're stuck in a loop. The way out is painful. You have to stop caring about profit for a while. You have to focus entirely on execution, and that feels like going backwards, because you're not making money, you're making evidence. But evidence is what you need, because once you have evidence that you can be trusted, everything else becomes easier. Now let's talk about the long game. The trader who builds confidence through process is playing a different game than the trader who builds confidence through outcomes. The outcome trader has good months and bad months. High confidence and low confidence, winning streaks and losing streaks, and every time they lose, they question everything. The process trader has consistent months, steady confidence. Controlled variance, and when they lose, they review, adjust, and move on. Over 1 month, the outcome trader might make more money. Over 1 year, the process trader will be far ahead. Over 5 years, the outcome trader will probably be gone, and the process trader will still be here compounding, because confidence built on process is durable. It survives drawdowns. It survives bad markets, it survives emotional storms, because it's not based on the market cooperating, it's based on you showing up correctly. Now, here's the final piece. Confidence is not the end goal. Confidence is the tool that allows you to execute at your best consistently. The real goal is building a version of yourself that can handle uncertainty without falling apart, because trading is uncertainty. Every trade is uncertain. Every day is uncertain. Every outcome is uncertain, but your behavior doesn't have to be. Your behavior can be consistent. Your behavior can be disciplined. Your behavior can be professional. And when your behavior is solid, confidence takes care of itself. So if you're sitting here with a $100 account, wondering how you're supposed to feel confident when the numbers are so small, here's the answer. Stop looking at the numbers. Start looking at the behavior. Every time you follow your plan, that's a win. Every time you avoid revenge trading, that's a win. Every time you stop when you're supposed to stop, that's a win. Every time you take your setup, even though you're scared, that's a win. Those wins build confidence, not because they make you money, because they prove you can be trusted. And once you can trust yourself, the market becomes a very different place. It's no longer a judge, it's no longer a threat, it's just a place where you execute your process. And execution is something you control. Now I'll leave you with this. You don't need to win big to build confidence. You need to keep small promises to yourself consistently. And those small promises, repeated over time, become the foundation of something unshakable. Not arrogance, not bravado. Just quiet, steady trust in your ability to show up and do what you said you'd do. That's the confidence that lasts. That's the confidence that scales. And that's the confidence that turns a $100 trader into a professional. Not because the account grew, because the person did.